Hi everyone, it's Mitch. It's Saturday, November 29th. It's my favorite day of the week during my favorite time of the year, and it's one of my favorite weeks of the year. It's rivalry week. Wasn't one of my favorite days yesterday, not my best day I ever had, that's for sure, but at least my strongest play of the day came in, and it was late enough in the day that we were able to salvage some things. And that was Boise. I predicted the final score would be 66 to 10. It was 61 to 10, but it was pretty much exactly how we thought it was going to be. Fresno played them tough for a little while, and then it was all Boise. And congratulations, Chris Peterson and the guys. Not going to get too much into the other stuff today because I got three big games to cover in the morning. I'll be back this afternoon with another video. First game I want to talk about, even though it's not the first one time-wise, it's going to be Florida State. I've been talking about this one all week, and I talk about this one all the time. I mean, all year round I talk about Florida State, Miami, Florida, all of these three teams. There's a reason why I talk about it. It's not just because I'm from Miami and that, the Florida State Championship means so much to us. More, when you're from the state of Florida, it means more than the national championship to us. And I know all, the rest of the country say, yeah, right, or whatever. No, when you're from the state of Florida, the Florida State Championship means more to you than the national championship. You can ask just about anybody that went to University of Florida, Florida State, or is a Miami fan, and they'll tell you the same thing. My team can go, 2-10, any year, as long as those two wins are against Florida and Florida State. That's how I feel about it. I think everybody, on the other sides feel exactly the same way. But let's talk about this one and why it's also such a big game. I could say that the Florida State Championship is bigger than the national championship, but it's equally as big, and the numbers bear that out as well. 9 of the last 24 national champions have been the winner of the Florida State Championship, either Miami, Florida, or Florida State. 8 of the last 24 losers of the title game have also been either Miami, Florida, or Florida State. So that's 17 of the last 24 national championship games. One of these three teams has been a direct participant in the game. 24 of the last 25 years, one of the participants in the game has beaten the winner of the Florida State Championship. So this game has national title implications, and this year is no different because if Alabama wants to get to the title game, they're going to have to beat Florida, who, if they win or lose, they were participating in the Florida State Championship game. In any event, I like the Noles. I like them getting the points. I know people have been on me all week on this. It's been hotly debated. Most of the Gator fans, the impression that I get is that they don't even think this game needs to be played and that I'm crazy for taking 17 points. Well, the numbers bear it out that this is one of the big value plays of the entire day because the Noles haven't lost to Florida at home by double digits since 1984. They also haven't lost by more than 10 points, which is the number that they lost by in '84. They haven't lost by more than 10 since 1972. That was the Nixon administration, folks, and I was only a very little kid back then too, so it's tough for me to remember that one. But let's just say that I like the Noles' chances today. I like them to definitely cover. Not so sure about an outright win, but I certainly wouldn't count it out. A lot of Florida, Florida's done an amazing job this year. They put together an incredible, stretch of wins with, by incredible margins. But at the same time, a lot of those quality wins have been at home. The Georgia game was at a neutral site. The other road wins, Tennessee, who also lost to Wyoming at home this year. Vandy, they had a nice start. They weren't, quite the same team. In any event, it's still Vandy. It's not quite like going into Doak Campbell Stadium with 80,000, doing the war chant and tomahawking. Good luck to the Gators today. I think they're going to need it. We're going to take the Noles and the points, and I slept well on it, and I'll continue to beat the war drum just like they've been doing in Tallahassee. A little history about this game because after all, we're all just fans of the game. Florida State, they have a war drum, and every year before the big games, the Miami game or the Florida State game, a week before the game, they start beating the drum around the clock. If it's a road game, they throw the drum into a like a trailer, an open air trailer, and they'll beat the drum all the way around the other stadium while they're doing it. I've seen it at the Orange Bowl. I've seen it at Doak Campbell, and it's an amazing thing to see. It's a great tradition. They go nuts on the it's just one of those many great college football traditions. So I'm sure they've been beating on the war drum all week, and they're going to hope to beat on the Gators today, just because the media and a lot of the bettors out there have discounted the Seminoles. The Seminoles have not discounted themselves. You watch Preston Parker, tremendous athletes on Florida State. Antoine Smith, he could play for anybody in the country, and so could Preston Parker. Florida State has athletes. They have top recruits in the country. It's still Bobby Bowden. It's still Jumbo Fisher, Mickey Andrews. Great coaching staff. In any event, I can go on and on all day about Florida and Florida State, and I go on all year about the Florida State championship. With some of those other numbers that I mentioned, and I'll continue to until they stop being the trend. In any event, let's talk about Georgia Tech, Georgia, just real briefly. I like Georgia Tech in this one. I think that they can at least keep it close with controlling the clock. I think that Georgia has a chance to win this game. If they do, they've struggled to win by more than a touchdown in a lot of the big games this year. They call this one clean old-fashioned hate. So having the Yellow Jackets up for this thing, it's not going to be too difficult. They can control the ball with that running game. Matthew Stafford seems to have trouble scoring in the red zone. I'm sure people are going to come firing back with all kinds of stats on this, but to me, it just seems that every time they have the momentum going with Stafford, he calls a timeout, just when they have the other team on their heels, and it usually stunts the drive, and they end up kicking field goals. I like Georgia Tech to at least cover in this one. They're getting more than a touchdown. The other game I want to talk about, Alabama-Auburn. I think Alabama wins this one. A lot of people out there taking Auburn. A lot of people taking Auburn in the points. I do think it is a low-scoring game, but I do think that Alabama prevails in this one. They may shut Auburn out. We have a lot of revenge going on in this game. Auburn has pretty much dominated this series as of late. Alabama has the guns to dominate this game, and there's nothing more that the Tide fans want to see than just a good old-fashioned beatdown of their hated rival. These aren't two teams that love and respect each other. These are two teams that genuinely don't like each other. So you're not going to see a sportsmanship effort, where they're up by 17 and they don't go for another touchdown on them. That's just not going to happen in this type of game. I like the Tide to cover in this one. Not so sure about them in the SEC title game against the Gators next week, but I do like them to cover here. In any event, this is Mitch. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back later on tonight talking about some of the evening games. Oklahoma State will be one of them, and I'm sure we'll have some other things to talk about as well. I've run a little long. I will see you guys in the chat room. I'll see you in the forum. Have a great day.